Hi, I'm David, and I'm here to talk to you about cryptocurrency price analysis for Thursday, April 11th, 2019. Today I'm going to touch briefly on Bitcoin, but then get into three other coins that, while they're doing fine in the markets, I think have pretty solid fundamentals and have a lot more to show us in the coming months. Specifically, I'm talking about Stellar Lumens, Monero, and Dogecoin. I'll get into why I chose these coins and where I think the next few months could take us. So, without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. Alright, first up, real quick, I just wanted to touch on Bitcoin. So, here we have Bitcoin on the hourly time frame. Here's the run-up last week, and we've seen a rising support ever since. Higher lows for the last week or so. And it put us in this wedge between 5,300 level and this ascending support. And just today, we basically broke up above 5,300. We got stopped out as we approached 5,500. But when it fell back, we found support on the $5,300 level. So now we'll hopefully use that as support to rise higher and get even higher lows. You can see that the 150 moving averages on the hourly are helping provide this line of support here. So everything's looking pretty bullish, at least in the next few days. There's every reason to think that the support will probably hold and keep us here. Even if we were to break below this line, we've got the rising 200-hour moving average. We've got pretty solid support at the 5,000 level, psychological support here. So the next few days, pretty bullish. That being said, I think we are going to keep moving up to test probably around the $5,600 level. And I want to show you, I touched on this last week. I just want to reiterate really fast. I'm concerned, let's zoom in a little bit here. This is on the weekly. I'm concerned about this 50-week moving average coming down here. And I won't go through it all again. You can watch last week's video. But basically, in the last market cycle, we got rejected hard off of this 50-week moving average at around the same point in the cycle. So I'm not being fully bearish. I'm not saying we're going to get rejected off of this, but sometime in the next week, we're going to test on it. And when that happens, I think it'll either reject us with some momentum or we'll punch through with some momentum. But I think whatever happens when we test that level around 5,600, we'll have significant momentum behind it. All right, first up for our coins to watch is Stellar Lumens. Lumens has had some pretty solid fundamentals lately, some pretty good news. It recently got picked up by Coinbase. As we've talked about in other videos, getting listed on Coinbase doesn't immediately make a coin go through the roof anymore, but I think it is pretty solid. It's a good exchange to be on for like having solid legs for the future for adoption. So that's optimistic. And then it also has been, Stellar's blockchain is being used for IBM's WorldWire, and a lot of banks are starting to get involved with that, and it's just looking like it's creating a good use case that Stellar will probably be around for a while. So that's why, and in general, I think it hasn't really performed as well as some of the coins have since this like run-up has started to begin. It's been one of those coins that's, though rising with the market, kind of going its own way. So let's take a look. So here we are on the 4-hour, and one thing to note is that we're basically today we broke through and are kind of holding above some key resistance. We actually did it yesterday, but holding above key resistance at about 12.5 cents. A lot of this rising support has been created by these moving averages, but it's been less, I don't have a line drawn because it's less clear cut than Bitcoin's. It's more of like a curve that seems to be responding more to these moving averages than anything. We have just broken below the 4-hour 50 moving average, and we're testing the support at 12.5, which we've also just broken below. I think it'll probably hold, but by the time you're watching this video, we'll see. If it doesn't, we definitely have this rising support of the 4-hour 100 moving average, which will most likely keep us up there. I think if we drop here, we're probably going to hold it at 12 or 11.5 at the lowest, most likely. I'm not too worried about much more downside than that from Lumens. For upside, what we're looking at here, let's go to the daily. It's a little bit easier to see. Again, it's got this trough of crypto winter. We're getting out of there, but the magic number we're looking for is 18 cents. That's the target for getting out of the crypto winter trough, as I like to call it. However, more immediately, we're going to have to test up to 14 cents. That's where the next resistance is. We got rejected as we approached it recently, a few days ago. If we can hold above 12.5, we should get the strength to test back up to 14. If we can get through 14, we do have this descending 200-day moving average, but I'm not too worried about it. It might slow us down, but I think what we're looking for is an upside target of 18. So downside target, if we slip, probably not lower than, let's say, 11.5 cents. Upside target, if things go really well, first 14, then 18 cents. All right, next up, I'd like to talk about Monero. Now, Monero has been having a pretty solid year so far. Nothing too crazy, but Monero did have a hard fork recently that went off smoothly. It basically was, well, it did a few things, including increasing security, but most notably, it made it so ASIC miners could no longer mine Monero, which a little bit of a controversial decision. I think it's basically a good thing for the coin moving forward. It certainly didn't hurt the price. And so Monero is still basically most people's go-to privacy coin, and I think in the coming months and years, as a lot of cryptos evolve in different ways, privacy coins are going to find a pretty solid niche. So I think it'll be around for a very long time. So here we go. You're probably going to say this is a pretty similar shape to what we've been seeing, and that's yes, very true. And so we're here on the hourly. I did draw a line here, but kind of like lumens, it's not exactly responding so much to a straight line as like the moving averages. Though very notably, this 200-hour moving average has provided, especially recently, pretty serious support here. And so it's forming a wedge between about $72, $73. I'll put the line at 72, but it's kind of in that range. And it's going to have to break out pretty soon. Now, if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty bullish on the whole market. So even if we have a dip, I think we'll recover from it. So first, downside, I think we'll hold above the 200-hour moving average. But if we did break down, worst case scenario, I'm thinking about $60. My reason for that, actually, it'll be easier to see if I zoom out to the daily, which is where we're going anyway. So we're in a range where there's not a ton of historical support and resistance, but basically you can see that at about $60, which is decent psychological as well, and actually a lot of that comes even from before the last market cycle, there's some serious support there. So absolute downside if we dropped, I think, is we're looking at $60 if it happened like soon. For upside, you can see that basically our first target is going to be $80 if we can break up here. Again, some both after the dip recently and from before the previous exponential run-up, there's some pretty decent support and resistance at the $80 level. It's a nice round psychological. And then the magic number to get out of crypto winter is going to be 100. Kind of an obvious psychological level. Lots of historical there. Not sure we'll hit that in the next few days. Our first target is $80. So that's what we're looking for in the next few days if we go up. And like I said, if we go down, we'll stay above 60, I think. All right, next up, I want to talk about Dogecoin. Now, I know not everyone takes this coin that seriously, and you might be a little surprised that it's on the list, but I really do think it is a pretty solid long-term investment in crypto, and I'll explain why. First off, everyone's probably familiar with the recent Elon Musk declaring his love for Dogecoin and the speculation that the 1 Doge equals 2 Doge April Fool's joke might have sparked the recent crypto run-up. I think it was more technical than that, but it's a fun story. So, here's why I think Doge is actually a pretty interesting coin. First off, I want to talk about, we are currently, it's not holding its value as well as many of the other coins that have run up recently. It's dipping, but we recently are holding about 0.3 cents, although I think what's happening there, let's move to the daily to take a look at it. I think it's this 200-day moving average that we're catching on. And although I'm basically positive about this coin, I do want to point out some things about how it operates. And that is that it's fairly rhythmic in its pumps and dumps, sort of. I don't think it's a pump and dump coin, but I think there's a real chance, even though I'm very bullish on the market, that it is going to test back down to around the 0.2 cents level because it's been pretty comfortable running up and dropping back down ever since the last market cycle. And it's a little above that level that it's been pretty comfortable bottoming out. Now, the reason I'm pretty okay with that is that if you look into the even longer term, is that when it finds a bottom, in this case 0.2 cents, before that it's had a couple others, it looks like for a while it was pretty comfortable at about 0.1 cent. Let's go to the weekly, you can see it even a little better. When it finds a bottom, it holds that bottom. It's slow and steady growth, and that's the kind of thing that for the long term, I think we want to see in the crypto world. Furthermore, if you've ever been part of the Dogecoin community on social media, they're one of the more passionate but also polite and kind groups out there. I just don't see them going away. I don't see Dogecoin evaporating anytime soon in terms of at least the way people enjoy to use it for tipping and small transactions. So anyway, back to the daily. What I basically want to say is I think it's very real we could test back down to this 0.2, but I also know that at some point it's going to find a new bottom at a higher level, and probably kind of soon with this surge in the market that's happening. So it might not be right now, but it's going to eventually probably find a bottom at 0.3, possibly if it gets enough momentum even to get above 0.4. That's our upside target, is basically immediately holding 0.3, testing 0.4, and we'll take it from there. Alright, that'll about do it for me again. As I always say, this is not investment advice. This is just my personal opinion. Go do your own research. Make your own decisions. Until next time, don't forget that like and subscribe. Good luck with your trades.